Stay calm, everyone. Open hailing frequencies.
Captain, these are Romulans. They are without honor. They killed my parents in an attack on Kittimar when they were supposed to be our allies.
So anyways, we get to the bridge, and then we get a little exposition of Worf's backstory in the middle of the crisis.
Right.
And I just love that he kind of just starts having a meltdown in the back, and everybody on the bridge is like,
Dude.
It's like, those Romulans.
Yeah, that's my second favorite moment. After he does that, he loses control of himself, and you see Riker, and Riker's like, "What the?" He's like squints at him, and then Worf's like, "Oh, ooh, sorry, I went too far."
Hi, and welcome to Nerdiest Prime, where we are reviewing every episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, and we are finally at the last episode of Season 1. Can't believe we're here after a year and a half.
Yay!
And this episode is called The Neutral Zone.
Getting from there to here.
Episode 26, The Neutral Zone. We open on the Enterprise bridge. Picard's away at another super-secret meeting, and Riker finally gets his shot at the big boy chair. All he has to do is keep the ship in the same spot and don't touch anything. But he can't even get that right. He sends Data and Worf to a rusty derelict spaceship to do I don't know what. Space archaeology? Whatever, it's not a real science. Worf tries to open a door the Klingon way by blowing it up. They poke around and find some human popsicles, cryo-frozen to escape the bony hands of death, and the cold grip of gym memberships they can't cancel. As soon as he's back, Picard orders the ship to the neutral zone to confront the Romulans, a militant race who love to tell everyone how awesome they are. So, of course, the Enterprise goes alone. The entire crew forgets to tell him about the frozen one-percenters in sickbay, and when Picard finds out, he loses his shit. Never again, Riker. Never again. Finally, we're into the A-plot, and the crew weigh their options as they slowly travel to confront their destiny. It's classic Star Trek, and I can't wait to see what happens next. We're back to 20th century cryo noobs. Okay, LQ Sonny Clemmons. Why is Sonny his nickname? LQ is a nickname. He has two nicknames. Drink up, LQ Sonny. You can always replicate another liver. Hello, Gordon Gekko and the dad from Jumanji. Symbol of 20th century capitalist excess. Okay, but what's going on with the neutral zone? That's why we're here. Now the mom is crying. The C-plot takes over the episode like liver cancer, turning it into the galaxy's slowest A-plot. What about the goddamn neutral zone? How long is this trip? Wow, I love watching Troy's therapy sessions. Are they doing a deep dive into family trees? Did LQ just sexually harass Dr. Crusher? That's problematic. Now he wants a party. Sure, what the hell? We're only in the middle of a major galactic incident. Finally, the Enterprise arrives at Outpost Delta 05 and it's completely gone. Now we're getting somewhere. Things are tense. There's a cloaked Romulan ship out there, and Riker and Worf push for an attack. Picard smacks them both down with the diplomacy stick, and Offenhouse wanders onto the bridge because Security Chief Worf can't imagine anyone going through a door without lasering it. Finally, the A-plot and the C-plot merge to form one mega B-plot, and a Romulan warbird just uncloaked. Worf takes a chance for a little backstory, and Picard and Riker are like, now? Really? Who decided to give him Tasha's job? And finally, we come to the moment we've all been waiting for. King Kong versus Godzilla, Romulans versus the Federation, Red Alert, shields up, evasive maneuvers. The course of galactic history is about to be irreversibly changed forever. Wait. Are they having a Zoom meeting? The Romulans look like pasty 80s new wavers, and after some dickish back and forth, turns out they've lost outposts of their own to some mysterious force. It's the Borg. Mystery solved. Shh, don't tell anyone until Season 2. And with that episode to the Neutral Zone, even though they only spend about 5 minutes there, they should have called it Barely the Neutral Zone and Mostly 20th Century Cryo Noobs, ends. Wait. No, please, no more cryo noobs. Fine. The mom finds a distant relative so she can couch surf. Wall Street loses the will to live, and LQ Sonny plans to go through livers like hotcakes on a Skittle. Yeehaw!
So many things have changed. I've moved cities. We have Jenny now. We have cameras. We have actual editing computer systems. Everything. It's awesome. Okay, so. Let's dive right in. Neutral zone. What are our initial thoughts? Let's start with Alan.
Of course. because I'm not prepared. No, I like the neutral zone. I think what makes this one work for me so well is how much I love Sonny Clemmons. I think he's like my favorite character from season 1 TNG, even over all the regulars. So you put Sonny in there, and all his rootsy sayings and good-natured personality, with an appearance by the Romulans, and I think you get a pretty good time. So this one I've always liked. I think Conspiracy would have made a better season finale with this, with the excitement and tension, where this one's kind of more low key. But yeah, I still like this episode. I've watched it a lot of times over the years.
Okay. Jenny.
I also have watched this many, many times, like a lot. I realized out of all of the first season episodes, I mean, I've seen them all a lot, but this one in particular, like I know every beat of this episode. And yeah, I love it. Like, I mean, it's not the best episode, obviously, but it's just like it works in this really weird, completely shifty tone roller coaster way. Yeah, I'm very into this episode.
Namir.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I always think like when this episode comes up and I happen to like see it on Space or whatever, I'm like, oh God, this episode. And then I watch it and I get totally sucked in. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is really good. And then before I know it, like the episode is over, and I watched the whole thing, and I only meant to watch like the beginning. So I don't know why. It happens every single time. It happened when I watched it for this review. I was like, I'm just going to watch a little bit, and then I just watched the whole thing.
It just pulls you in.
Did you have it like 2 times speed or anything? You watched it real time this time.
I watched it real time. In fact, I watched it.
I
know. I watched it in slow motion because it's so good.
Right.
Yeah,
I wanted to stretch it out.
This episode is my favorite. I think it's my favorite episode of season 1. It's hard to pick my favorite. Yeah, it's like there's, but and it's like basically almost like a top 10 of all of Next Generation. Like I love this episode. I never get enough of it. And guess what's going to get a 10 later? Ooh. Maybe this episode.
2 Federation outposts in Sector 3-0 have been destroyed. There's been no communication with Federation starbases in Sector 3-1 since stardate 41903.2.
Romulans.
Let's talk about the premise. So the premise is thawing humans and Romulans at the neutral zone. What do we feel? How do we feel about the premise of this episode? Let's start with Jenny.
I very much enjoy the completely different tones of the 2 pieces of this episode. Like you've got the situation with the Romulans, which is like tense. It's and they do an amazing job of like amping up the tension. But then you've got Sonny Clemmons and this like very these people are, there's the comic relief of that. There's Picard's complete disregard for them, the fact that they're just like, oh, these people, it's like a roller coaster from one scene to the next of like, what kind of tone are we going to have happening? But it works, oddly.
Namir, what do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think the premise is weird because there's 2 different premises, right? It's like not just one premise. It's the neutral zone, but there's the story of the frozen 20th century humans, and then there's this conflict with the Romulans coming back, and they don't really like combine, right? But it still kind of works, right? Like it works because they're just like bystanders to this really crazy, galactic problem that's happening, and they're trying to like figure out what's happening with them, and they just woke up 300 years later and all this stuff, and it doesn't seem like those two premises should gel, but they kind of do. Like even thematically, like it's a little bit of a stretch to find how they match.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are in the neutral zone of their lives.
Yeah, I guess. Like I think it's that like they've come back after a long absence, and then the Romulans have come back after a long absence. That's Perfect. The only. yeah. It's exactly the same situation completely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. It's totally fine.
Stretch.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Like there's no other way to tie those two things together, but somehow it works.
Mm-hmm.
Alan, what do you feel about the premise?
Yeah, it feels like two very disparate storylines that could have been their own. Could have been their own episode. But yeah, I mean, I think it balances out with the tension and the drama versus the comic relief, and it's just a bit of levity amongst all the tension. So. Mm-hmm. It works. It's weird. It's a weird structure. It's probably like because usually with TNG has a lot of A/B stories, and this is probably an example of an A/B story that have like zero kind of connection to each other. So, the only thing I was thinking of is Ralph Offenhouse comes up to the bridge and his instincts on the big deal kind of help Picard navigate his dealings with the Romulans. So I guess there's that seems to be the only time where they kind of cross over and connected from what I see, but yeah, it was that was I don't know. I got no ending to my thought.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
It was.
No.
That's my favorite scene. That's my favorite scene of the whole episode, where he's in there and he's like, "They don't have a clue. They're hoping you know," and I'm like, "He's right." And Picard's like, "I think he's right." Yeah. And then he's like, "Get him off my bridge."
It was Ralph's one redeeming moment after being a jerk off for the whole episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Was he a jerk off or was he a jerk? I can't.
Both.
I mean, you've been frozen for 300 years. You can have some stuff built up.
Oh, okay. We're gonna bring it back. We're gonna bring it back over here. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like this episode is, there's a lot of these first season episodes that are kind of like callback, either on purpose or on not, of the original series. Like Naked Now is like Naked Time, and The Last Outpost is like Arena, and this episode is basically like Space Seed meets Balance of Terror.
I don't know about that.
Wow.
Arena is nothing like The Last Outpost.
Please enlighten us on how.
These are some major.
The only way it would be the same is if Sonny Clemmons decide to take over the Enterprise and turn it into like a touring country music.
I'm not saying they're complete copies. What I'm saying is that the in terms of the premise of like reviving, there's a sleeper ship of old people that are from the past.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so this is that type of premise, and also the attacks on the outpost in the neutral zone is sort of the premise of Balance of Terror, except this the outcome is different, but the basic investigating attacks in the neutral zone is kind of the same setup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Okay, made it.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. We're just humoring you, right? We don't actually.
We're like,
we're saying point. Yes, but we're like, let's move on.
So yeah, and I feel like this. I mean, I love the premise of the show because I just love this idea. It's kind of like a time travel story where, sometimes they'll go to the past and you'll see, present day people interacting with the crew. But this is the same thing, but it's like the present day people are on the ship, and it's a way, at least for me, to like kind of put myself in their shoes of like, that's what I would be like. I wish I was frozen in time and then I woke up and I was in the 24th century. It'd like be the best thing ever could happen to me.
Yeah.
And so
I think. Sorry. I do like I like that Claire Raymond has no idea what's happening. Like I actually like really like that part of it, that she didn't sign up for this. Like her husband like made this decision for her. Now she's just like stuck in the 24th century. And I just, like that. I enjoy that. I enjoy that premise.
Yeah, I do too. And I mean, and I feel like the ramen one, I like it, but it's more like setup. It's all setup. It's like an origin story of the Roms are coming back, and nothing really happens. It's kind of like Superman, the movie. You get to see Superman come from Krypton, and there's a bunch of setup, but there's no real payoff. And this is kind of what this episode's like. Am I right?
General Zod's
the whole
in the
payoff
Phantom
is
Zone.
in Superman 2, right? Huh? I didn't hear you, Alan.
Oh no, that's it. That's just it. Yeah, they haven't got to the battle with General Zod from the Phantom Zone yet.
Oh right, exactly.
How long until Captain Picard returns?
The last communication indicated it would be several hours.
Commander, request permission to investigate this vehicle.
Why, Data? It's just a derelict.
It is a piece of history. The opportunity to examine such an ancient vehicle does not come around very often. And as you pointed out, we do have the time.
Just off the top of my head, I was like, I don't understand this thing with shuttlecrafts and distances. It never seems to make sense. They're waiting in the middle of space, just randomly waiting somewhere. They don't have anywhere else to be, but they sent the Picard on the shuttlecraft. Like, how fast does shuttlecraft go? And wouldn't it have been just faster for them to go at warp 9 to wherever the captain was going and just wait there than just to be waiting in the middle of nowhere? I'm happy they did, because otherwise they wouldn't have bumped into the sleeping people. But, and every time they do like a shuttlecraft kind of trip, I'm always kind of wondering the logic behind it. Because the shuttlecraft never seem like they're going really fast. They're just like coasting along at half impulse. And that's it. I mean, it would take them 25 years to get to the starbase. And the Enterprise can be there in 15 minutes. I don't understand.
I didn't really think about anything about that.
I mean, maybe the place that he's going is like a secret place and only he can know where they went. Like, maybe the admirals or whoever that he went to meet it was like top secret. So they had to, these are this is what I do, right? So, and then I'm like, well, and also, maybe it's like just far enough that it's sort of out of range, but then the shuttle can like get a little good clip going. It's not obviously warping around, but I'm willing to go along with it because they do it enough in various episodes that it seems to be a weird standard procedure in some situations to just leave the ship and have to do these insane road trips. Yeah.
The shuttles have warp capability, so they have warp nacelles, so they must go to warp.
They do, yeah.
So,
exactly.
they're probably just as speedy as...
I think they can only do... Because I think when they got the runabouts, I think the runabouts can do higher warp, but
just dig out
the regular shuttles might be like warp 1, warp 2. Yeah. I think.
Well, this is my whole point. Not to go down this rabbit hole, but warp 2 is 6 times the speed of light. It would take a shuttle at warp 2 2 days to get from where the Enterprise is to the starbase, and it would take the Enterprise at warp 4 15 minutes.
Are you done?
I mean, maybe they were also taking the opportunity to run, like a level 1 diagnostic on like everything while Picard was at this meeting.
I like Jenny's explanation.
What if?
Yeah.
Okay, my problem, moving away from this, My problem with
What
the
is your
opening
problem?
with the opening teaser, because the whole like I said, the whole first part of the episode is kind of dumb. Why does Riker not want, like, it seems like Data is being Riker and Riker is being Data, because I don't understand why Riker is not interested in finding out more about this human capsule from 300 years ago. Why does he just want to let it drift off and hit a sun or whatever it's going to do? Because I'm like, there's a made, and then Data says like, oh, there's a big opportunity here for learning about the past, and especially since their records are so fragmented from the Third World War. You know, why are they just like, their whole mission is to explore? Why are they just gonna, oh, we don't care about this probe? Like, it seemed very odd. Like, in later seasons, they'd be all over this. I'm like, oh my god, it's some piece of the past. But in this one, they're just kind of like, it's just space junk. We don't need to look into that. And I'm like, really? It seems like it's part of your mandate, part of your mission would be to find out how to just get out here. Why is it here? What is it doing? You know.
Who sent
But yeah,
it?
I found Riker's whole attitude towards it very odd. It's out of character.
I want to hear Namir's thoughts. Namir, what do you think?
My thoughts. I didn't really think about it too much. I think there's two answers. One is like Riker's just scared of Picard, right? And he doesn't want Picard to be mad at him. Yeah, which I think is the answer. And then the other one is like, I think it's a writing thing, right? Like they need, some sort of conflict or something to actually have like a discussion, like some way to eat up time. So that's what it was, right? I think that's like a writing trope where there's like disagreement kind of moves the plot along, and so that's kind of what's happening here. So
Yeah.
that's what I think. I mean, it is weird, but it adds a little bit of like energy to the scene and some flavor to it, so I don't mind it too much.
Yeah. Instead of Data being like, hey, can we go check that out? And Riker being like, sure.
Yeah. yeah, exactly.
Well, I feel like
Great
exactly.
idea.
That's like
Data would be the practical one that's like, it's just space junk. It's not of interest. And especially with Picard being an archaeologist, they think, Picard
curious.
wouldn't want us to slow down for this thing. I'm like, Picard's like totally into history and archaeology. He would want you to bring that aboard and keep going. It's like a little probe. Can't just
That's true, but
in their shuttle bay or in the cargo bay.
I don't think he wasn't an archaeologist until like a later season.
Yeah,
Or-
yeah. He hadn't
became
opened up to them about
Well,
it at that
now
point.
now in retrospect,
very
it doesn't make any
guarded.
sense to me.
And just this is a really small nitpick, and I don't want to pick on the episode too much because I love this episode, but the odds of them running into that thing are like
Well,
it's impossible,
Astronomical.
basically.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's like space is so big, and that thing is so small, and it just happened to be there. I'm like, what? Like it would be. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just saying. Okay.
Can I bring up a nitpick that I have? And this is it's so small, but it always annoys me every time. It's that Worf doesn't know how to operate doors. Right? Like he just walks into the door and he's like, I don't know how to do this. How does this thing work? I have no idea. You're like, you know how handles work. You pull the thing and then something happens. It's a funny joke, but it's like every time I'm like, come on.
He's just a big brute.
He's
Doesn't
just a
understand.
big doofus.
I do like that it's him and Data on the capsule, like that it's of everyone on the crew, it's those two, poking around and being like, this is really important. We need to take these guys back. We got to take care of these guys, and everyone else is like, whatever. But the two non-human guys are, the two non-human guys are like, this is important.
One thing I noticed too, and they do this all the time, is the trope of defrosting one of those things and finding a skeleton or desiccated body inside. It's always happens. I've been trying to think. It's like, how many times have they done that? And I'm trying to think the earliest example that I think was like Planet of the Apes, maybe like the 60s.
I was thinking of the same thing.
I was like, is that the first example? Because then they do it all the time throughout science fiction. I'm like, open the capsule. I'm like, oh, it's a body, and then they find, and then they eventually find the normal But yeah, I just think it's funny how often that happens in these shows.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but especially in the first season, there was like the circular tunnel set, and it came back again and again. And this basically the inside of the spaceship is the tunnel.
Yeah,
is the tunnel set.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think it's funny. Worf is always good for a gag whenever we find humans from the past.
Oh, the sickbay thing that made no sense. Why would you bring? It says, "Oh, get security down here before we revive them." I'm like, why wouldn't you send a human representative from the security department? Like, it was totally a setup for a dumb joke.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing, right? I mean, nobody cares. Everyone's just like, oh, these 20th century goofballs,
Yeah.
It's
They won't mind seeing an alien the first time they wake up for 3
Exactly.
They'll be fine. Just get over it. What's your problem? Stop whining.
I find it's funny how it's like a recurring joke like throughout the series because it happens again in Time's Arrow Part 2 when he sees Mark Twain. He's like, werewolf! and Worf is like, ugh, again.
Yeah.
And then finally it happens again in Star Trek First Contact, I think, where doesn't Lily see him?
Oh yes.
And then he's like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
I am a Klingon.
But it's like he has a look like, again,
He just wants to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
Stop
I'm
looking at
more
my
than
big
my
head.
Yeah.
It's glandular.
That's probably how the Enterprise E got destroyed when Worf said he doesn't talk about it. It's like he just scared somebody and then they tried to turn and run away and tripped over something and blew the ship up. It's like, I don't want to bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, I love that whole. I think everything I like about bringing the humans on board is that it requires a certain amount of like in universe explanation of things, like in their point of view. So, they're talking about the humans, and it's kind of a 24th century view of our time period, which is interesting to look at. And then at the same time, it's telling them, okay, this is what it's like now. There's no money. And we're cool now. And you guys are lame, and this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Wait, what? What do you mean?
Because Sonny's way cooler than anybody on the crew.
There you go. Now you got it.
There you go. Now you got it.
Well, and we finally get the year. This is the first time that you hear the year of Star Trek ever.
What year is this? By your calendar, 2364. What?
And then it kind of sets their whole chronology for all the rest of the series. Yeah. Because in the original series, they were just kind of like, it's 200 years in the future, 200 years ago, 300 years, 500 years. It's just like, nobody knew when they were. There's no start, there's no dates. It's
they were
like,
deliberately
it's
vague.
1.245.
Well, when they travel, they're like warping time all over the place, so none of that stuff makes sense. Right? Like, they're literally warping time.
What?
Well, yeah. I mean, that was that was the explanation of why they had star dates, which made sense. And then as soon as they introduced a date, then it was like, oh, I think everything's constant. And nothing's relative. Screw Einstein. It's all just constant. Doesn't matter how fast we go. It's always a year. It's always
Yeah.
Yeah, they got the compensators,
think about that.
dampeners. I don't know, the stuff that makes it time not.
That's got nothing to do with time dilation.
Heisenberg compensators.
Sure.
That's a transporter.
Oh my god.
The
Do you guys have any
warp
thoughts
field
about
protects
the?
them.
Do you have any thoughts about the bringing the people on board and introducing them to the 24th century? Welcome to the 24th century.
I always like a good replicator gag. I always appreciate just getting a drink,
olives for
like
the
it's
vitamins.
Yeah. I don't know. I always like that kind of, you get the little bits and pieces of world building out of it, like you say, like just that little bit of extra exposition. I thought it was interesting when Troy is going over the Claire's family future history, and it's a neat moment, kind of thinking about like placing them not only just in the year, but in terms of like how far humanity's come in that amount of time, but that, because you sort of think about like future people, and you're not really thinking about like, well, what's my family going to be doing in 2363? So that's actually I like that. Like, it's sort of it's just an interesting like angle on it.
Don't you mean 2364? I don't want to correct you or anything.
Yes. Sorry. I'm thinking first season launch date. Sorry.
What they were doing before the first season, Next Generation?
Oh.
That is the question.
Such a nerd.
God.
I can't help it.
It launched in 2363.
It's true. And October 4th. But who's memorizing these things?
Exactly. And I'm sorry that it was the new year.
That's right. By the time you got to the end of the season,
it was April. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go on.
We could have a whole discussion about star dates, but we only have 2 hours and a half to talk about this episode before we all have to go to bed. So, so I want to give a chance for Alan and Namir to talk about how they felt about the introduction of the 20th century people into the 24th century. Let's hear from Namir.
I think it was fine. I think the episode did it well. I'm always surprised that there's no protocol. Like, they have no procedure for doing this. Yeah. Like Counselor Troy wasn't there until halfway in the episode, where Picard was like, "Get it under control," and she's like, "Okay," but she should have been there right at the beginning. So I think they kind of weirdly just took it for granted, but I kind of think like this probably would have happened before, maybe, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, like maybe
it did. It happened in the original series.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So it probably happens all the time. So
don't revive these people. They could be Superman. No, nobody says anything. Especially since they're from the 90s too. Like, why wouldn't?
Yeah,
it's like they could be eugenics people. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Kid is like, this reminds me of something that happened in the original series. The Worf's like, nah, it's fine. Just unfreeze him. Let's get him out there.
I love that line where Data says, it didn't feel right to leave him there. And then Picard's like, Data, they were already dead. What more could have happened to them?
I love that.
And then Data's like, oh yeah,
that's right. But that's the other thing. Like, is there medical technology so advanced that they can bring people back from the dead? Like, they're dead, right? Like, so how does that actually work?
Well, they weren't dead. They were like cryogenically preserved with like a fatal terminal illness.
They were dead. They were dead, and they brought them
dead. They couldn't bring them back.
That's my point.
I think
exactly.
Cryogenic preservation. You have to freeze the person before they die. It's like, oh God, I got stage 4 cancer, and there's no cure. Freeze me and then thaw me when you can cure cancer.
She died of an embolism.
Yeah,
you can't. There's no like an embolism is not a thing that happens for a very long time, right? Like, you just die.
Yeah, they said
she was dead. They were all dead.
Well, not to get into a whole metaphysical conversation about the soul, and if you can just put the soul on hold so it doesn't go to heaven and all that stuff. But I have read things about people who actually are dead for several minutes, and then they're revived, like up to 10 minutes or something like that. And there's really interesting stories like in the New York Times and books have been written about this, and it's just and it really you start to wonder well, at what point are you actually dead? But all this to say that I think if the person died and within the 10 minutes they were frozen, then in theory in theory.
Yeah.
Once you thaw them, it's only been 5 minutes for them. They're like, what?
Well, Neelix was dead in Voyager for 12 hours, and Seven brought him back to life with nanoprobes? Because he just had a electric shock that killed him.
Alan, that's science fiction. It's not real.
This is all science fiction.
And plus, he's an alien species. He's not human. He's not a human species. Something else. Who knows what he can do?
But it's interesting because I think that was an actual thing that people did back in the 80s. I don't know if they still do it now or whatever, but that'd be interesting to look into and do like a special episode just on the people who are frozen.
I thought there was some rumor
Isn't
about
Walt
Walt
Disney
Disney's
frozen?
head being at least
Just his head?
His head. I thought it was just his head, but maybe it's all of him.
It's something put in a jar like Futurama someday.
That's exactly.
With a robot body.
He's just sitting on robot spider legs, exploring the underground caverns below Disney World. That's terrifying.
Okay.
As you know, sir, there is very little available on the Romulans.
Counselor, anything will be helpful.
They seem to be creatures of extremes. They are related to the Vulcans, but as each race developed, their differences grew wider. They're intensely curious. Their belief in their own superiority is beyond arrogance. They will not initiate anything. They will wait for you to commit yourself.
Counterpunches.
Just to switch gears a little bit, talking about the Romulan plot, I think it's funny how the whole introduction or reintroduction of the Romulans is kind of like an excuse to do like exposition dumps. And there's like Troy, who's like, Captain, let me read you what the writer's Bible says about the Romulans.
But
Okay,
she does drop that. Oh, sorry.
No.
I'm so
I was just
excited.
inviting somebody to talk. Go.
She does drop that one actually valuable piece of information about them being like the counterpunch thing, which is something that they actually hang on to with Romulans like forever, kind of. Well, maybe not forever, but for a long time. They definitely factor that in as a part of their character, their racial character moving forward. Anyway.
Is that what Picard says? He says counterpunch?
Yeah.
I was just like, what is that word he says?
It is counterpunch, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's counterpunch.
Yeah.
I already forgot what you said.
And what's a counterpunch?
Meaning you punch and you get punched back.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, but you wait to get punched.
Oh, I see. And then you do the punch back. I see.
Yeah.
Like a boxing technique.
Yeah. So in Star Wars, when Han shoots first, that's not a counterpunch.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just a punch.
Exactly. Not a counterpunch.
Right.
Yeah.
Unlike in
in Star Wars where that Han shoots second and then it's a counterpunch.
That is a counterpunch, yes.
Yeah. So basically Troy is saying when the Romulans do something, you can't back down. You gotta give them as good as they give to you.
Mm-hmm. But they also won't do the thing until they wait to see what you're going to do.
And I just realized, sorry, Alan, I feel like maybe I jumped over you about bringing the 20th century people to the 24th century. Did you want to say anything about that?
Well, actually, I find it's kind of like who's everybody laughing at?
But you know, son, I just figured it was all a bunch of hooey.
Hooey? Huh. As in hogwash, malarkey, jive, an intentional fabrication.
There you go. Now you got it.
I felt like it was like The Big Goodbye or Haven, where the writers can make more fully realized characters that feel real when they're writing for like a 20th century type thing. So like I found in The Big Goodbye the guest characters were like really good, and I felt in Haven they were basically writing, an 80s sitcom episode, So it feels like the writers knew what to do with the characters, and they felt more real. Because I find throughout the first season, the TNG cast just feels really stiff and wooden and kind of stodgy, and I just felt like bringing these 20th century characters, and it livened up the room. I found like they were just a breath of fresh air, because I found the crew were always kind of, they're not that compelling to listen to or watch, but to see Data react to them was funny, and and Worf. So to see these by the book kind of stiff characters kind of react to these unusual 20th century people was fun to watch. So I thought that was, it made the episode more fun.
I like how you always bring it home at the end.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not always like I never not a strong finisher on my thoughts.
Okay, so let's keep you going, Alan, about the reintroduction of the Romulans, and basically how it's like a good excuse to like do a bunch of exposition about the Romulans. How do you find that was handled or done? And
it was fine. I know when I watched this in my younger days, I really hated that it was all talk, because we're at a season finale, and I was hoping there'd be like some a firefight between, because the Warbird is such a cool ship. Like when they introduce that and you get to see it, you just want to see it in battle, and that's the thing too, is you didn't really see the Enterprise in battle much in the first season. I'm like, you really kind of want to see a fight, even though I know they should talk out their problems and find peaceful solutions. The 12-year-old boy in me just wanted to see them trade shots across the bow or something. So, which I think we finally get to see in Contagion. Is it Contagion? The Romulans attack them?
No, I don't think they ever shot them.
No.
Is there a battle in
there's no poo-poo, but there is there isn't any poo-pooing until the defector.
Oh, is that okay? Okay. Yeah.
It's like and the line is, "Oh, this is just a tap of the shoulder. Otherwise, we wouldn't be around for
So yeah, it felt.
Jenny knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it felt slightly anticlimactic for a season finale, where just like, we're just gonna exchange notes. Okay, roll credits.
I know, but it leaves you with the mystery, right? The what's gouging out all those settlements.
Yeah, because it's less about the Romulans as a threat and more about.
I think initially the season 2 opener was gonna just basically follow up on this, but because they had the writer's strike in '89, they had to dust off the Child, which was like from phase 2.
Yeah,
which we'll talk about in 2024.
Yeah, and actually, I think they were supposed to introduce the Borg in this episode, but they kind of realized there was too much episode. They couldn't do it, so they were like, we'll save it for next season.
Yeah,
but I think they were supposed to actually. You're supposed to see them.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about the Romulans and their reintroduction?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were great. I liked the introduction. I like how they kind of just appeared and were immediately like, we don't like you. We're going to give you guys a hard time. This is going to suck for you, believe me.
Yeah.
But we're back. And then they there's like a throwaway line where they're like, other things kind of kept us busy, but now we're back. And I'm like, what other things? What were they doing? For 50 years. Taxes.
And audits.
They're galactic taxes. But yeah, I liked it. I thought they were like sufficiently nemesis-like. You know, like okay, these guys are going to be a problem for them.
Yeah, and I mean, my only real disappointment, which is nothing to do really with this episode, is it's such a great like introduction of the Romulans, and then you have the Romulans like this arc building over like seasons and seasons and all these things happening, and it just kind of goes nowhere in the end. You feel like I always love the Romulans. They're always my favorite, bad guys. And, Star Trek Nemesis should have been kind of the combination of that. And then just they pull the Remans out of nowhere, and you're like, what the hell, guys? What about the Romulans? And then
Star Trek Nemesis should have been a lot of things. But it was not.
At least we got to see the dune buggy chase.
That's true. And Fat Data.
And strong feelings of the dune buggy.
Yeah, me too. And then finally when we get back to the Romulans they just blow up the planet, and it was like, in the end, that's it, we're done with these guys. You're like, Star Trek.
Yeah, I think the Borg kind of stole their thunder a little bit, right? Like the Romulans started off being really, terrifying a little bit, and then the Borg were like so far ahead of them that everyone was like, oh, who are these guys? Who are these pointy ears buffoons? Let's talk about those Borg.
And then Star Trek Picard came along, and they said, everybody loves the Borg and everybody loves the Romulans. Let's put them together. And then that went nowhere. So much potential
Jenny, what were we going to say?
Sorry.
I like that the Romulans are, yes, they were never made into a villain, but they also are a lot more complicated than that. I like that they're, that you see over the course of years, you see all these sort of aspects of their society, and and bad Romulans and good Romulans, and sort of in betweeny, just that they're not exactly what they appear to be right off the bat. And I loved Mark Alamo, the first appearance of Mark Alamo. We are back.
Yeah, and especially and he looks he's so good compared to the other guy.
Yeah.
The other guy is like, we have been watching you. Let me talk to you in the most.
I like the other guy. I don't know that actor, but I thought, Mark Alamino. He's very reserved.
It's not Alamino. His name's not
Alamo. I don't know how to pronounce it. Alamino.
Mark Alamo.
Alamo.
Alamino.
Alamino.
Alameda.
Gold Ducat. Why you guys gotta call me out on every mispronunciation? I mean, I don't hear these people's names.
If I didn't, what would happen if I didn't? It would just go to air like that, and then it'd be like,
all right, you can just bleep me out. Just put in Gul Dukat, even though my lips are clearly.
By the way, I know who Gul Dukat is now.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, you're a D Space Nine fan now.
That's right.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
That's awesome.
Third season. It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
No, that my point is that he was kind of the cold, quiet, reserved, calculating one, and the other guy was kind of like brooding and kind of pissy. So I thought, they just complement each other pretty nicely.
And it's the only time that you see two Romulans together side by side, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. It was kind of like it was like a motorcycle with a little sidecar.
I thought it was cool. They had people in the background doing stuff. It actually looked a lot like the Romulan ship from the Strange New Worlds finale last year, whereas the guy in the foreground talking, and there's people just in this hallway and behind. They're just like doo 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 doo.
You mean it's like the ship from Bound to Terror? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Did the Bound to Terror ship? Because that kind of had its own kind of submarine feel to this bridge.
Mm-hmm.
This one felt more like a theater set, a soundstage.
Fake.
A lot has changed in the past 300 years. People are no longer obsessed with the accumulation of things. We have eliminated hunger, want, the need for possessions.
It has never been about possessions. It's about power.
Power to do what?
To control your life, your destiny.
That kind of control is an illusion.
I love that, the two big things that I really like about this episode in terms of the 20th century characters is that whole conversation between Picard and Offenhouse, where Offenhouse is Picard is saying to him, oh, we're we've grown out of our infancy. We're done accumulating things, and then oftentimes says it's never been about accumulating things. It's been about power, and then Picard calls him out and tells him, "Well, that kind of power is illusion." I was like, I love it. It's like it kind of distills my own like personal philosophy to a T. And then he says there's no money, and then you realize that Star Trek is really just a communist utopia.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Anybody can jump in now. I feel like Namir has things to say.
No, I agree with you. I mean, it's a great scene, but I think there are a lot of scenes like that in the first season that people just kind of gloss over. Like there's really great character moments that, for me, are memorable, right? Like that's why I like and I know there's some bad episodes, like there's a couple of like rotten eggs in
Name
the first
one.
season.
Just a couple.
Starts with code, ends with honor. But there are a lot of really great moments, and this is one of them. And I also like the first season seemed to kind of push things a little bit and try different things with format. Like Conspiracy is a weirdly paced episode, but it works somehow. And somebody gets their head blown up, which you never see again. And this episode is kind of the same way. So for me, that's one of the moments that I'm like, oh yeah, this is clearly a first season episode. So yeah,
Jenny.
I very much agree with that. There are all these little gems throughout the first season that it really is easy to kind of dismiss the whole thing as, but I mean the big goodbye is in the first season. Like the big goodbye is so good. It's so good. I cry every time I watch it. It's so good.
I want to redo that review with Jenny now.
Oh.
What made you
Why,
cry?
do you hate it? Do you hate it? What?
I love it.
But I
love
wouldn't
it,
say I was
but
emotionally moved by it.
But Namir and Alan were not on my team, and I want Jenny on my team.
I mean, it's a good episode.
Yeah.
I never thought it was a bad episode.
But you didn't think it was a 10.
It was not a 10. No.
It wasn't a 10. No, I mean.
Oh, the whole thing at the end with him and the cop, oh man, just God, so good. But
exactly, that's what I mean. God, so good.
And just the ideas, like that they. Really, I love the first season because, like you say, Namir, it is. I mean, they're trying everything, right? There's a lot of, I don't know. It's just figuring out what this show is at this point. And I feel like they hit more than they miss. Actually, I really, and I feel like this last episode, the Neutral Zone, is actually kind of. It's almost like a little mini version of the whole season because you've got this, you've got like the kind of, you've got this combination of comedy and pathos with the 20th century people, and you've got that like the flute music or like the sort of fanciful, funny music, and then you've got this like amped up tension that they're building with the Romulan situation. That's the more kind of hard, it's a really neat kind of mix of the two tones that has definitely been all the way through the first season. So I like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I think I think you've sort of articulated exactly how I feel about the first season. Like, I like when they try different things.
Yeah.
And I know Strange New Worlds is kind of doing it, but they're doing it, like, to the extreme.
Oh, yeah.
Like the first season of TNG is kind of doing it within the confines of, TV, right? Like, of, like, writing good television, right?
Yeah.
That, to me, is really interesting. And I think, I agree. I think they hit more than they miss. Like Skin of Evil, I really love that episode. Yeah. I think it's really great. And I know a lot of people don't, but I think it's fantastic.
That was and there's like a lot of
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're like, that main character just died. What happened?
I was also like, I
Alan,
love these people.
let's talk about Alan. Let's get Alan in here.
I feel like everybody got a track because originally you asked about what we thought of the 20th century people.
Oh yeah.
Talk about a general overview of Star Trek.
No, we're going to talk about that anyway. So, and obviously, I'm going to have to do a lot of editing here. So, whatever. No, but okay. So there's two things that you can talk about, Alan. One is just talk about that conversation between Picard and Offenhouse, and sort of generally how the Star Trek 24th century world and philosophy is being presented to these people from the 20th century. And then if you want to say something about season 1 and discount everything Namir said, then you can do that too.
Well, I think you guys give season 1 far too much praise. But anyway, we've been down this road before. No, I like that, with these three characters, there was opportunities for the TNG people to interact with them. I thought that for once Troy really had something relevant to do to her job with, helping Claire deal with her new reality and trying to help her, find family and find a purpose. And I thought, this is the perfect situation where a ship's counselor would come in handy. So, that was good. A nice moment for her to shine. Again, the Offenhouse confrontations with Picard. It was nice to see a white collar, asshole.
Wall Street.
Yeah, Wall Street asshole be put in his place by Captain Picard, and all your money grubbing ways, don't mean shit here. You're everybody's has a level playing field now when it comes to that sort of thing, and you're no better than anybody else just because you had a big bank account 300 years ago. So that was cool. And then of course, I love Sonny Clemmons so much. He's so much fun to watch. I love all his
So I don't understand. Is that his name, Sonny Clemmons? Because in the
well, this is like LQ Sonny Clemmons. I don't know what LQ
stands
for.
Oh, okay. So it's
yeah. I don't. But I just feel like he is the most well-rounded, well-developed character in season 1.
What?
Like he has a complete,
you just like him because he plays the guitar
and personality, and he just feels real, fully realized. Where everybody else just seems like they're just trying to trip around and figure out who their characters are and what they're doing and their personalities.
He's very solid.
But right out of the gate, this guy is like, who he is right off. That he's a guy that has a lust for life and all the the vices that can enhance the fun of life. With drinking and partying and playing music. And I love too how he just he adapts to the future so easily. Like everything's like, yeah, I just signed up for this because it sounded like a hoot. And then he's there, and it's like, wow, it's like I can make myself a guitar. I'm gonna be a big hit. All my songs will be new. And he's like, he's already got a plan for his comeback. And I just like how he just basically takes Data under his wing and just confuses the shit out of our poor android with all of his rootsy sayings that even I had to look up.
Like low mileage.
It was. It was just recently I finally looked that up to see what it meant and realized that he's actually telling Data that they should go find some easy women and make some fun memories with them.
What? Yeah. But I actually looked it up.
I know, right?
I looked it up today.
I thought he meant a car all these years.
No.
I was like, let's go find ourselves a couple old pickup trucks and go down a dirt road.
Oh my god! Oh no! Even when I was like 12, I was like, Get Data to go get some girls.
I did not know a pit wolfie was like a groupie at like a racetrack.
That's what it is.
Yeah. It's like, but yeah, once I read that, I'm like, oh, that makes more sense. Because I thought low mileage just meant something to do with a car. You're talking about like an old
Alan,
Ford
you're
or
so
something.
innocent.
Not anymore. Not with the advent of the internet.
Yeah. So yeah, I just love all of that. He was fantastic. I realized watching this that I would love to see a follow up to Sonny. Him just show up on like a deep space station somewhere, just playing shows. He's on tour with his
there's a
cosmic tour bus.
In Lower Decks. There's a callback to him. There's actually like I think it's like a news broadcast or something, and there's a little scroll basically saying that he's performing somewhere.
I do remember seeing that. But I want to actually see that.
Yeah.
But I will. This is my pitch. My pitch is a Star Trek limited series with those three characters going back to Earth and following up what happens to them.
Absolutely.
I love these characters so much that I'm always like, what happens to them afterwards? I want to see what happens.
Yeah,
it's the
they
same
definitely
thing
need
with
some follow-up.
With Dr. Gillian Taylor on Star Trek 4,
Yes.
where she shows up in the future. She's like, science ship. I'm like, and then that's it. It's all dropped. I'm like, I want to see that. I want to see her like discovering everything for the first time and like figuring everything else. And there was that episode of The Orville, because I listened to you guys and I watched that show, and there was an episode of that kind of happens, and you do actually follow up what happens to the person that is like something in the future, and turns out she has a mental breakdown. What? It's bad. Yeah, they have a
Yeah, it's not good.
It didn't go well.
No.
I kind of feel like Claire was going to be that
and-
person. It was like, this is too overwhelming. But Sonny was just going to love it. He was just going to tour the galaxy with his rhinestone guitar, or his bedazzled guitar.
There was that guy that escaped from the holodeck in season 7 and Homeward, and then he was like so overwhelmed he just killed himself afterwards. It's not fun. It's not funny.
Oh,
Sorry.
right.
It's very sad.
Sorry. I was
Well, the
thinking
way
he
you
was a
presented it
holodeck
was funny.
character. I'm like, what? Yes, not funny.
No, not funny.
Sorry, I was laughing at something else I heard earlier.
Yeah.
Not suicide.
Do you have anything to add, Namir?
To suicide?
No.
I don't know.
Everything we said before that.
No, I think a show about this LQ Sonny Clemmons would be amazing, and just about him and the other two. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. Sure, why not? We should write that.
Yeah.
I will. Okay, so sexual harassment in sickbay.
All right.
Oh yeah, the little butt smack. Like,
I feel like Maurice Hurley made that happen on purpose.
Oh yeah. But
Maurice
it's actually
and
perfect. It's perfect that it's Dr. Crusher, because Dr. Crusher is the one that's usually pointing out those kinds of sexist things, and sort of bringing that stuff up. Mm-hmm. So, but it's kind of like she handles it so well. It's kind of like it's almost like a throwaway thing. Even the show doesn't really know what to do with it. It's just like, okay, that happened.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and
that's
then we
Sonny.
don't see her for a year.
Right. Oh yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
She's like, I wonder. He's probably going to get in a lot of trouble now that I think about it. Sonny's like, they're going to have to pull him aside.
He's been
Let me explain something to you.
He's been taken off for some training.
Yeah,
he's not out touring the cosmos. He's in a Federation penal colony for sexually harassing everybody he encounters. Everybody.
Including Data.
Yeah.
All decks, yellow alert.
So when Offenhouse is on his way to the bridge, when he's like sneaking around, we get our Susan Sackett cameo there. Susan Sackett?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right.
The
Gene Roddenberry's secretary and lover. So, and
whoa! What? You're gonna have to tell me the story. This is new.
Well, okay, so I know that Susan Sackett was his secretary, and she had written a book called The Letters of Star Trek. But it was like one of the first Star Trek books I bought when I was 15. That it was basically all the fan mail that Star Trek got. It was like in book form, and she had compiled this. And then last year, I went off on this rabbit hole where I decided I was going to write a script about Gene Roddenberry's life. So the first book I got was a Susan Sackett autobiography. Because I thought, well, she was the secretary; she would know the most about him and whatever. And it turns out that she was his mistress for like 20 years or whatever.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh, Gene.
Gene Roddenberry wasn't the best, the most stand-up guy.
He wasn't like a bad guy. He just he made questionable choices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so was she was in the episode? Like she was an extra? I don't remember.
Yeah, exactly. So she was his secretary. So she was on the staff of the show, and I think she even wrote an episode or pitched an episode. I can't remember what it was exactly. But yeah. So he's about to go into the elevator, and then she comes out, and that's her big cameo.
Yeah, little short, dark-haired officer. Yeah, in a blue uniform, I think. Blue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, Susan Sackett. I was like,
That home record.
I did not realize that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gene.
Jenny, you knew about this? Did you read that book?
Yeah. I didn't read the book. I knew about her. I knew about the affair. I actually didn't realize when she came out of the turbolift, I was like, I know this is a cameo, but I didn't place it until you said it. But I knew the story.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny because I was just thinking about this the other day. I was like, oh, I remember her having a cameo in the first season, but I don't remember what episode it was. And so maybe my brain subconsciously knew it was this episode because when I was watching it, I was like, oh, there she is.
Stay calm, everyone. Open hailing frequencies.
Captain, these are Romulans. They are without honor. They killed my parents in an attack on Kittimar when they were supposed to be our allies.
So anyways, we get to the bridge, and then we get a little exposition of Worf's backstory in the middle of the crisis.
Right.
And I just love that he kind of just starts having a meltdown in the back, and everybody on the bridge is like...
Dude!
It's like, fuck those Romulans.
Yeah.
They're without
get
honor.
that guy away from the torpedoes.
Yeah, that's my second favorite moment. After he does that, he loses control of himself, and you see Riker, and Riker's like, "What the?" He's like squints at him, and then Worf's like, "Oh, ooh, sorry, I went too far."
I know what the Romulans say. It's like settle your dog or something like that. Like, yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, they didn't get a full spread of torpedoes. Insulting Worf like that.
I just
settle you right in the face.
Just let me be like, oh, it.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time he murdered people, after being explicitly told not to. So they told him not to kill Duras, and then he went and killed Duras.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't use the ship.
Wasn't there something else too they told him not to do, and then he did it anyway? Was it when he killed Gowron? I can't remember now. Oh jeez, sorry, I'm spoiling Deep Space Nine for Namir.
Alan,
shut my mouth.
Okay,
that's okay. I think I already knew that. I knew that. It's fine.
I gave you a hint, Alan. That was a very solid hint, and did not listen to my coughing. I saw him getting closer and closer to
Oh, is that what you were doing? Yeah. I don't think anybody realized that's what you were doing. We're
Just
like,
edit
why
that
is he talking
out.
so much?
And he'll just edit that out, and Amir will forget.
Go get like a Robitussin or something. There's something wrong with your throat.
Obviously, this hasn't happened enough in my life that I've developed a proper system.
For future reference, everyone.
When I'm coughing, it either means spoiler alert or it means I'm choking. It's up to you to decide.
Captain, there is nothing left of Outpost Delta 05.
Must have been one hell of an explosion.
Sensors indicate no evidence of conventional attack.
Can you determine what happened?
The outpost was not just destroyed. It's as though some great force just scooped it off the face of the planet.
All right, so really, officially, this is the first Borg episode.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait.
Or the second Parasites episode.
That's it's true because we don't know, and you think the ongoing enemy, the mysterious enemy, is probably the parasites because of the signal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, actually, the first time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, it's the parasites. Of course it is."
Yeah.
And then they were never seen again.
and it was funny because I always thought that it was implied that it was the Borg, but there was never really an official kind of thread between the Borg and in this episode. And then I realized that in Q-Who in the second season, they specifically reference this episode by talking about the scooping.
Captain, the sixth planet in the system is Class M. It is as though some great force just scooped all the machine elements off the face of the planet.
It is identical to what happened to the outposts along the neutral zone.
And the scooping goes away eventually. And by the way, I've yet to see a really cool shot of a Borg cube scooping a city. It's never happened.
Yeah.
But they keep the scooping going all the way to Best of Both Worlds, and then they just kind of forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah. What
In
is
the novel,
scooping anyway?
in the novel Vendetta, they use the scooping.
How did they do the scooping? Is it just like a big ice cream scoop that comes down?
Yep.
It's like
just
exactly
it's like
that.
the same. It's like that same cutting beam that they use
And
to
then they
like
put it
haul
on top of
pieces
themselves.
out of the Enterprise, but they do it to the planet, and they just like pull it up and then just like
mass
what's his
assembly?
face? like Omicron and Transformers, where he's like,
Oh yeah.
like he's just like eating all the.
They ate it up.
Yeah, that's how I always pictured it. Anyway,
Like Parasites.
That'd be cool. Why don't we ever see that?
I know.
Anyway.
That's a good question. Budget.
You should have done it in Picard.
Yeah. They did enough in Picard.
Instead, they just scooped out each head's eye instead of scooping out the colony.
I mean, they did.
They really did. Yeah. That was a metaphor. Something.
Does anybody have any other thoughts about? Does anybody have any other thoughts about this being the first Borg episode?
I mean, I like that the mystery was never answered, right? Like I like that they left it as a mystery, right? Because it's like, okay, well, they're gonna follow it up, I thought it was cool.
I thought it was weird that the Borg were obviously that powerful, and they stopped by the neutral zone to scoop up a few outposts, but they just didn't go to Earth or Romulus and just do the deed. I mean, obviously they're super powerful, so why didn't they just go? They're pretty much unstoppable. They could have just went and did their invasion right then. Instead of, why did they just scoop up a couple of planets and then?
I mean, there's definitely some like geographical weirdness happening. Like, where are the Borg now? Didn't they only come because the Enterprise?
Is this supposed to be the same cube that comes later on? I don't know. There's some weird timeline stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
And geography.
Space geography.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just drive past Earth and Romulus and go to a few of their space stations or colonies that are out here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's a good point,
Why just
because the
scoop
only
up
reason
San Francisco.
Yeah, but the only reason the Borg head to the Federation is because Q tossed the Enterprise to them, and the Borg was like, "Oh, who are these guys? Let's go get them."
Yeah, and
technically
they're like,
they're
"Oh
already
man, there's a
there
whole
in
quadrant
our
of like
neighborhood.
people we haven't even looked at yet." Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's weird.
Maybe they traveled so fast in the transwarp conduits that they went back in time. No, that doesn't make sense. I was trying to pull a Jenny there. That was my attempt.
That was good.
I think it's good that they don't specifically connect the two, because then it really wouldn't make sense. Like right now, it's open to interpretation. The scooping could be anybody. In retrospect,
maybe it was
now
the
it could be
parasites.
anybody. Maybe it was the parasites.
Oh.
I hope so. I'm still waiting for the parasites. I'm not going to be happy until there's a Star Trek limited series about Sonny Clemmons and a limited series about the parasites coming back.
Maybe if you keep limited series.
That's right. If you keep repeating it, somebody at Paramount is going to hear you and be like, "That's a really good idea. I'm going to steal it," and then you'll see it on TV.
Once you post yourself on YouTube talking about it, they'll just steal your idea. They'll watch you, say that's a good idea, and then they'll take it.
I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Sonny Clemmons, the new host for the
Next Generation.
Then they beat his head in with a guitar.
or he's playing a guitar, and then this parasite comes out, and that parasite's playing a guitar.
Oh, nice!
2 guitars.
Oh, wow! That's a show I'd pay to see.
Yeah,
I would see that too. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to talk about one thing, which is the music.
Yes.
Because I have not talked about the music yet in all our reviews, but the just to go back to what you're talking about, Jenny, about the tension in the episode, and I think the tension is really brought in by the music. And the composer of this episode is Ron Jones, who is, in my opinion, the best Star Trek TV composer, who went on to do Best of Both Worlds.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and he did a bunch of episodes up until the 4th season, and then he got fired for being too good.
It's always a problem.
Which is a whole other conversation, really. They wanted wallpaper music, and he wouldn't do wallpaper music, and
interesting.
And he talked himself out of a job, basically, or he played himself out of a job. But he had the best music, and so. Throughout the first season, he's got a bunch of great scores, and this one in particular. And what I like about this one is that, we think of the Klingons having their theme that Jerry Goldsmith did.
Yeah.
That keeps coming back. And Ron Jones composes a Romulan theme in this episode that keeps coming back. By coincidence, he ends up doing a bunch of Romulan episodes after this, and he keeps bringing back that theme. And
that's awesome.
It wasn't until I got the Ron Jones, his albums on iTunes that I started going, hey, it's like they keep coming back, and it's like I love that shit.
Nervous.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, the music was like the one major note that I had, because I was just like especially just how well it switched the tones between the two stories, but especially how it ramped up the tension, very much like Best of Both Worlds. So that's makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I like the little guitar stings.
Yeah.
That's like even
I don't
the
think
little...
they're about to go to commercial, and then they don't, and they just go they just keep on going. You're like, oh, okay, that was just
we're just right in there. This, yeah.
I thought the little music sting too, when they do the joke with her fainting after seeing Worf, it sounded very TOS.
Yes.
I was like, it felt like a TOS joke. Like, they had little.
That's the flute again, right? Yeah, like the.
Yeah.
And he does something very similar. I don't know if you remember, because it was a long time ago, but when at the end of Lonely Among Us, where they go, we think the delegates ate the other delegates. And Picard's like, man, you guys take care of that. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, that was a weird closing joke. Like, haha, murder and cannibalism.
Yeah.
Take charge, number one.
I'm just gonna go sleep on this super uncomfortable pillow.
Yep.
And then he did another one very similar to that at the end of Evolution. Remember where Crusher and Guinan are talking about Wesley and he's got a girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
It's like, who's that girl?
Yeah.
And he goes,
I
can't do it.
Who obviously looks at him with extraordinary affection. What do you know about this girl?
We haven't gotten to
I'm
that
too happy to
episode
whistle.
That's great.
Anyways, does anybody else have anything to say about music? Namir, Alan? Namir hasn't said anything about music.
No, I mean I like it. I mean I don't really. Yeah, music's hard for me because I enjoy it. Like I notice it when it's bad, right? But I don't notice it when it's really good.
Yeah.
Right. And so far I haven't really noticed the music, which tells me that it's been really, really good.
I think we should do one whole review on just the music, but because that's been a big pet peeve of mine of Next Generation about, some of the episodes are really good music, and then they kind of start going more and more towards musical wallpaper. And I saw an interview with all the composers, and then apparently Rick Berman kept telling them to make the music less emotional.
What? That's the whole point.
I know. And so I don't know what was wrong with him, but he was saying that was the thing, and he would say, the music should be like invisible. You shouldn't be able to hear it or notice it that it's there. And and so and Jay Chataway, he was like, okay, I'll just do this.
Yeah, there's definitely a point like season 5 onward in Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise where there's very few instances where you notice the music. Like you say, it's just wallpaper. It just all sounds the same. There's nothing distinctive about it. Let's say there's a few standard episodes. Like I remember, of course, Scorpion and Voyager had that good theme. That's very memorable. And then there's a couple Enterprise episodes I remember where I really noticed the music. But other than that, it's always kind of.
I used to think it was maybe the composers who sucked, but then when they did Star Trek Generations, it was the same guy. It was Dennis McCarthy who had done Encounter at Farpoint and whatever, and he was like, "Okay, go crazy! It's a feature film," and then you're like, "Oh, this is really good."
Yeah.
He's been just holding back this whole time, and then Jay Chataway, which I thought was like a horrible composer. The first thing he did, the first show he ever composed for, I think, was Tin Man, which is amazing.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
yeah.
And he did the Rescue Flute stuff for the whatever the name of that episode is, but
really?
Inner Light.
Whatever the name of that episode is.
I was just waiting for somebody to jump on me on that.
It's funny because I didn't. I historically haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to what the music is doing and who's doing it and all of that stuff until Picard. I got really into the music was just so good, I thought.
Were you talking about Picard season 3 or Picard in general?
Actually, all of it, especially season 3, but the opening music for Picard, the way that they tied a bunch of stuff into it, I started to pay attention, and then season 3 was blew my doors off, and now I'm paying way more attention as we're going through, watching it because it's sometimes great and sometimes not, but
that's right.
Yeah,
I'll be sure to keep pointing it out as we go along because I love it so much. Okay, so I think we're ready for our final thoughts with our rating, and then I would like to do something a little different. I wanted to maybe do our final thoughts, which we already kind of did a little bit, but just to like kind of wrap it up, our final thoughts about the season since it's the last episode of the season. Just a little short thing. Okay. Let's start with our thoughts about this episode. Oh, Jenny, you look so ready. Thoughts of this episode and your rating, please, and go.
Well, I mean, I've kind of done a bit of a wrap up on my thoughts, but overall, I feel like it kind of hit all of the tones and the energy and different sort of feelings that we got all the way through season 1. So I thought it worked that way quite well. I like, there's humor, there's pathos, there's tension, there's new adversaries, there's Marco Lamo. So I don't. Yeah, this is my first TNG rating. So I don't have I don't know where my scale is. My incredibly generous scale. I don't know where to start it. So I guess actually, because it's the end of the first season, and I'm thinking, okay, Big Goodbye is definitely a 10. So I'm gonna give the Neutral Zone a solid 8.5. Yeah, solid 8.5 because I really like it, but not as much as I like some of the other ones.
Namir.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this episode a 9. I really like it. I really like it. It's a lot of fun. It shouldn't work, but it really does. The things that I don't like about it are very few and far between. I love all the characters. I love the Romulans. I love the mystery of the scooping of the settlements, and they don't tell you it's the Borg, but it's coming. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's a great first season episode. It's a good season. It's a good episode to end the season on, strangely enough, because it feels like a cliffhanger, but it also has an ending to it. Like it wraps up, but there's still so many unanswered questions, and you're like, they're going to answer that in season 2. Yeah, which they do. Other than what happens to Sonny Clemmons and everybody else, which we're all burning to know. But yeah, so it's a 9 for me.
So I feel like this one is not as high as everyone else. I feel maybe I'm being too unfair, but I'm feeling like a 7 for this one. It didn't feel like season finale material. I mean, it could have been, but it wasn't as exciting. I still feel like Conspiracy and Neutral Zone should have been switched around.
Right.
And Conspiracy would have made a much stronger season finale and cliffhanger. But yeah, it was enjoyable. I think if Sonny Clemmons wasn't there, I'd really have a hard time with this one.
Yeah, you really liked LQ Sonny Clemmons.
I did. I really love that character. I don't know what it. I just find him charming. I'm like Data. I'm just enamored with him. These are the strangest humans, and I'm so fascinated by it.
I love it.
But yeah, I probably give this one a 7 out of 10. Again, since I'm so intimately familiar with all the episodes of Next Generation that are coming up, I really can't give a lot of these first season ones, super high marks because they're just not as good as what's to come. If we were just doing season 1 and yeah, this is definitely, if I was just taking these 26 episodes and grading them, the Neutral Zone would definitely be towards the top of that pack.
Right.
But the best season 1 is still not as good as a lot of season 3 onward.
Okay, the thing is, I don't really remember season 3 onwards. I know I've seen the episodes, I just don't know where they fall.
Oh, that's cool.
But I like season 1 is the season I remember the most. So that could be why cool. I enjoy it the most, right? Because I remember it really well.
I feel like when we get to season 3 and you get to episodes like Best of Both Worlds, Tin Man, The Defector, who watches the Watchers.
Season 3 is like
Survivors.
full of bangers. Like,
oh my god, yeah, like there'll be so many 8, 9, 10s in that season.
Yeah, it's just like good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And just
Mimir's
look
like,
at anything in season 1, it's like
I don't know.
it's entertaining.
I don't know.
I've watched season 1 a zillion times. It's entertaining. It's definitely, from its period of time when it was broadcast, there's tons of creativity that went into this. Like, it looked like nothing else on TV that came before or after, and they were taking a lot of creative swings. But I just think at the end of the day, the writing just wasn't there yet. And once Michael Piller got on board, and they got rid of a lot of these first 2 season people, everything started to click. So
I don't know. I'm going to hold you to this. Like, season 3 better be the best television I've ever seen.
Pretty good.
It will be.
Pretty good.
Yesterday's Enterprise.
I'm always shocked.
What about season 2?
Actually,
what?
And you know what? I'm a big season 2 fan also. So there's a lot of good stuff in season 2. I'm actually really excited.
Pulaski? I mean, you can't beat Pulaski. She's the best.
I love this episode. It's an automatic 10. This is an episode that I've rewatched many, many times over the years. If I had somebody I want to introduce Star Trek: The Next Generation to, this is one of the episodes I'd show them because it's
cool.
It's a fun, easy episode. I love all the stuff about the 20th century people. If anything, I just wish there was more of it. And the introduction of the Romulans, it doesn't quite fulfill that, but I know where this is going. And, you can't fault Superman, the movie, for being such a good movie but having no payoff, because all the payoff is in Superman 2. So that's fine with me. I have, there's going to be years of payoff of this episode with the Romulans. And, of course, it also is like introducing the Borg. So this episode alone reintroduces the Romulans and introduces the Borg. So it's like basically everything. It's everything. It's like a KFC bucket with all the things. And so it gets a 10 out of 10.
KFC bucket? Really? That's what you went with?
Yeah. But it's all chicken in a KFC bucket. There's no diversity there. It's just like all the same thing.
Wait. What if you get the little coleslaw and then you get the potato salad and
the mega meal?
You got everything.
Coleslaw's terrible.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, great. So we'll be back soon with our review of Star Trek: Next Generation Season 2.